It's been, a hot day, but I'm sure this conversation is going to be fun and cool. Just a little bit about me. I've been a chef for the last 15 years, and I started Soda Bottle Opnewala, which was in 2013. For me, I think very early on in life, I understood that, I wanted to promote Parsi food, talk about the cuisine and the community because I did not see enough representation. There were no restaurants. It was purely a cuisine that was found in homes. So for me, it's now, and with my cookbook, The Parsi Kitchen, which is here, I will shamelessly show it to all of you.
I've seen that before and I've read it and I love it.
I know, Rashmi, we had a fun day when we went out with the book and we went to a couple of places in Bombay. So Parsi food is very dear to me, and I want to promote it to as many places as I can. So I'm doing pop-ups, I'm doing consultancies, and I do a lot of work on social media. And at the same time, very closely associated with the promotion of millets. The International Year of the Millet was in 2023, so wanted to, get people to start eating millets in a creative way. Yeah, that's just a little bit about me, and I hope you guys enjoy the session.
And sitting next to her is the forever gorgeous Sonal Ved, who has just recently done this amazing book, which is already making waves. Her vegan wow. Sonal, can you please say a little bit? There she is. There she is.
Thank you, Rashmi. I've been in the industry for a really long time, and today I'm so honored that I'm doing this conversation with you because, we've not had this opportunity before. So firstly, I'm supremely grateful because I really admire your work and what you've done for the industry. As a food writer from India, it is you are somebody that one can look up to.
Thank you. Tell us about yourself.
Firstly, I have to acknowledge that. And I think since the topic of this conversation is power of women, I think one of the things that women in the food industry have been doing is empowering each other, which I wanted to do first. About me, I am a food writer and I also work as a digital editor for a couple of lifestyle publications such as Harper's Bazaar and Cosmopolitan India. I've written five food books and most of them have been about Indian cuisine because I think, this is the era of my life which I'm contributing to condensing as much as Indian recipes as possible into cookbooks. I've dedicated my life to it for now. And yeah, that's pretty much what I can share about me. With this being my latest one.
That's amazing. I have to get my teeth into that. So, Mr. Founder, President, Chairman.
I have a name.
Would you like to shoot any questions at us?
Well, my very first question is, I'm sure you've been asked this 100 times. When and how did you get inspired, all of you, to start writing your first cookbook? What was the inspiration? In a very short description.
I don't think I should start this conversation because I worked for 15 years in the income tax department. So my whole journey is totally teda meda, like me only. So let's begin with the lovely cookbook authors themselves. Yes, please.
Okay, mine was my first foray into the culinary world was, I have had no official training at all, I'd like to tell everyone. I was a business entrepreneur, I ran a restaurant, and it's just my passion for food, I think that started me off. My husband was posted in this very remote area, and I was quite lonely and bored. And I thought that let's document the Rana recipes. All the old ladies who used to know the recipes were slowly dying out. So I thought if not documented, they will slowly die a natural death. So I started my first cookbook then and wrote out the introduction. And it took me about 30 years to complete it because life got the better of me. My children were growing up, their weddings, their work, grandchildren. And then I got back to it after my husband retired as the chief and I had nothing much to do. So that was my first foray into the world of gastronomy. Thank you.
And Thank you, Anaita? We already heard about your Parsi.
Yes. So I actually wanted to write a cookbook when I was in school. I was 16 and I still have the drafts of my first cookbook. It was basically to understand what would teenagers eat, so it was called the Teenage Cookbook. It never got published, but I still have like manuscripts from, you know, when I collected it. So I knew at that time I wanted to write a book, but never on Parsi food. And it only happened after Soda Bottle Opener Wala when I realized that after Bhiku Manik Shah's book, which was at least 30 or 40 years ago, there was no other Parsi cookbook. So I realized that, you know, there are so many recipes that I wanted to document. I wanted more people to know about the cuisine. And I also wrote this book twice because the first time when I wrote it, I didn't like the manuscript because I was just like, it's reading too boring. So I wanted to make sure that there were stories from each chapter. So each chapter starts with a story and goes into a recipe. So my inspiration was Like Water for Chocolate, this amazing book. And, you know, that's why I wanted to kind of put it together where it also gives you an insight into the community and then goes into the recipe.
So we have Nepali, Parsi, and sitting next to her is Sonal Ved, who's actually in keeping with the times and in keeping with the vegetarian avatar of this festival. I think she'll tell us all about her dedication to vegan and vegetarianism, which she's now recently written this book as well.
Thank you, Rashmi, for that question. Thank you very much. I started writing this book because I was anyway a vegetarian, but I wanted to have this fascination with trying a plant-based life and seeing what that does to me. It worked beautifully for me, so I thought it was time to put it into a cookbook. I started writing this book with an experiment where I Googled the vegan girl, just that much, the vegan girl on Google, and the images it showed me was of white women with acai bowls. And that's when I realized something had to change. Somebody had to do it, and it was going to be me. So I put together all the Indian vegan recipes, which does not mean that I will take paneer out of palak paneer and put tofu instead. But I will talk about intrinsic vegan recipes that exist in India and put them together in a book for people to cook it, to skip the ones that have dairy, that have ghee, that have paneer, and just simply pick this book and still cook authentic, not authentic, but still cook traditional Indian food and still practice the vegan lifestyle without eating acai bowls. Not that acai bowls are bad, I love them, but still.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And now that we have this young man on stage with us, we want to ask him a question.
Oh, yes.
We want to ask
The
him,
not so young man.
this not so young man. We want to ask him, do you put the subject of the talk today as women in power, right?
Women power, yes.
Women power. So do you think that we have power, that much of power? Can you agree with that?
I couldn't agree more because the birth of mankind is because of a woman. The biggest influence in the life of a man is of his mother. And then without the support of his spouse, I don't think any man can go forward. And I'm a living example of that. If it wasn't for Sonali supporting me steadfast when we started Food for Thought Fest in 2015, we wouldn't have reached this far.
A big hand for Sonali, please, and women power.
She's left for Delhi
Yes,
because
I know.
our kids have their exams tomorrow. But
Right.
yes, so I am, I think, one of the biggest believers in this, and naturally so.
That's lovely. Thank you. I have to say, I have to share with you, when I went for my IAS interview, after the IAS exam, they have an interview which they call personality test. That time, Germaine Greer and, you know, this whole feminism was a big deal. So they asked me, do you think men and women are equal? So I said, no, I don't think so. I said, I think women are superior. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Wholeheartedly.
And also being 15 years in the tax department, I was actually more privileged as a woman. I was not at all at any disadvantage. And I don't know if everybody knows, but the government is the Indian government is the largest employer of women in India. And so on that note, I'd like to ask our wonderful panelists what they feel about women power. What do you feel?
I think women are the most powerful beings on this earth because through us, we propagate humanity. We are the vessels from which the human race goes on. So I think nothing could be more powerful than that. And, the roles we play as mothers, grandmothers, spouses, sisters, daughters, daughter-in-laws, so that embodies the whole essence of life. And I think another thing connected with food is that we hold the nutrition of our family in our hands. So if we do not, if we don't cook personally, at least run the household, order, healthy nutritional meals, the health of our family is at stake. And on a professional level, I mean, in the old times that we, reigned in the shadows of our fathers, our husbands, our sons. But today we have come out in all the roops of Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Durga. And as business entrepreneurs, as these two ladies on my third, I mean, left and right, I run a business of my own, but very small compared to what these two are doing. I mean, all you three are doing. So I think we've come out into the world as powerhouses, really. The women power of today is unmatchable. Thank you.
Thank you for all the clapping comes from the men. Suvir, why are you not clapping for us?
Yeah, Naita, what do you have to say about?
So yes, I mean, I absolutely agree with both the ladies here and you. I think I'm just going to speak, about some experiences in the hospitality industry. And it's weird that, women are actually custodians of their family recipes, of heirloom recipes. They take care of kitchens. They've, been the primary caretakers. But sadly, you don't see so many women in professional kitchens. And for me, like I've, wanting to talk about Parsi food and millets, I've been a big advocate of getting more women in professional kitchens. And honestly, it's been a journey where it's been quite hard to empower them without the support of their families. With, we work late hours, we have long shifts, we'll be standing on our feet. And now it's almost the same in every industry. But still, there's a little bit of a stigma. There's still a little bit of a challenge to get women to join the professional industry and the force. And, but, I mean, the last 10 years, if I look at numbers, when I started, I was the only, girl in my kitchen. And now when I see teams of, of many restaurants, I see a good number of at least 20-30% women. In my own team where we consult and we do pop-ups and we, set up kitchens, I only have a team of women. I mean, I don't have any men in my team except for my finance guy, by the way. But other than that, I have all women. So, I want to see that shift happening. I want to see more women coming into the professional industry. I know it's happening slowly, but it needs to happen because more and more people are going out to eat. I know there will always be mothers cooking, home cooking, but restaurants are also, very important to have representation and equality. And I'm hoping that it keeps, improving and changing.
That's lovely. And Sonal?
I'm going to take on from what Anita just said, and I truly believe that there is a slight shift happening in this whole male-dominated kitchen area that we were seeing so far. Earlier, when as a journalist, I used to make lists of the best chefs in the country. It used to be like one after another, a lineup of a lot of male chefs. Now and then slowly it began by, oh, let's put a woman in there because it's going to look so bad that they're only men. And the woman was there usually because it was like a sense of tokenism. But I think in the last 4 to 5 years, there has been an insane movement in terms of really talented women chefs coming to the fore. Be it my dear friend Vanika, be it Devika Manjrekar, who runs like an all-woman kitchen, be it Shraddha from O Pedro. I think all Amninder, all these women are not on lists because of some sense of tokenism, but they are on the list because they truly deserve to be there with their male counterparts who are equally talented. So I think this whole change in narrative has slowly but surely begun.
May I add that when we are speaking about women power and what you just said, Sonal, we have had the pleasure of having Asma Khan
Yes, we
for the
can
third
see
year
her.
this year, and
We're
We
missing
can
she
go.
her.
is, she
We're missing her
represents
right
she
there.
represents women power,
Yes.
and her restaurant Darjeeling Express in London is an all women brigade.
That's
I
why
think-
can't we have her here? There she.
Yes, I think we should. That's a great idea. But question answers, we're not going to let you go, Asma, so be ready. I'm going to do a little rapid fire here. So 3 questions, very quick responses from you. Number 1 is, what was the biggest challenge when you did your first book? Starting with Rashmi, the biggest challenge.
My biggest challenge was that
Finding a
I couldn't
publisher?
find a publisher
There you are.
for 17 years.
Oh, God.
I wanted to write India's first ever restaurant guide.
Right.
And I did not, it got rejected by 3 publishers, including my dear friend India Today. And they said nobody will, today we have 2,000 restaurants, tomorrow there'll be 2,200. What's the point of writing a restaurant guide? Nobody reads books. So finally, when I managed to do it, after 17 years, it was published. It was on the national bestseller list for 1
Wow.
year. No, not because it was a great book, because there was no internet and people didn't know where to go. So that was a big challenge because it was a whole new concept, right? And then the second time, the same thing when I was doing the world's first vegetarian guide to Paris. But that time I didn't look for a publisher, but I love Paris. I said, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to keep going up and down, up and down. And after that, all my other books were easy to do. My other 40 books were. But the
Brilliant.
biggest challenge in the beginning was to find somebody who'd believe in doing a restaurant guide.
Is that a similar thought amongst the other 3 ladies on the panel? Finding a publisher has been the biggest challenge? Mrs. Rana?
Surprisingly, it was not that bad. I just approached 2 publishers. One was Rupa and one was Penguin.
Right.
And Rupa gave me this very sweet answer saying, "Oh, we are busy these days and not into cookbooks so much." But Penguin picked me on immediately,
Brilliant.
so I didn't have a
Lucky
problem with
you.
the publishers. My other problem, like you said, the barrier that I faced was out of the 136 recipes in my first book, 100 are from my own home because it is the Rana cookbook and my husband's nanny taught me everything I know about Nepali cooking. But I wanted to make it inclusive. So during their time, there were 9 Rana prime ministers. I wanted to reach out and get a recipe from the other families as well. And the thing I came across most, oh, but you'll make our recipes very common. So they wanted to keep it just closely guarded secrets, which I'm sure a lot
It's
of
a
the ladies
double-edged sword.
of royal households experience here. So that was my problem with I did manage to get the other relatives who were more
Right.
easier, more broad-minded. So that was my problem.
Thank you. Anahita,
Thank
what
you.
was your biggest challenge?
For me, thankfully, the publisher was not a challenge because HarperCollins was the first person who approached me, and I was like, I'm going to work with them. But what was the challenge is that it took me 5 years to complete because as chefs, being in kitchens, we never have time to write.
Lack of time.
So my editor would tell me, every day, Vana, take out Vana at night and write. And I'm like, I am dead. Like, I'm a log by the end of the day. I can't, even use my brain and write anything. So only during COVID.
So time was
actually-
the biggest challenge.
Yeah,
finding
kind
the
of put
time.
it together. And that was my biggest
Right.
problem. Yeah,
Thanks.
challenge.
Sonal, what was your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge, at least with this last book, was photography.
Right.
Because my photographer ran away in between half of my shoot, and then I had to shoot this whole book
All over again.
by it's very interesting story of this whole book has been shot at this restaurant in Bombay called The Mask, and all I was doing is getting all the crockery out of their old menus, and at the end of it started looking like their restaurant catalog. But lucky me, it's a fabulous restaurant, and the shoot came out beautiful. So that was
Brilliant.
my.
Thank you so much. Now the next question is, the one person who was your biggest support, Rashmi. The one person, your biggest support.
Sorry. My biggest support, I'm trying to think. No, there are too many.
One person.
I have too many angels in my life.
I
There's
know.
one sitting over there, that angel with the white
No,
hair.
you can't dodge this. We really have to have, you have to name one person who was your biggest support.
I have
There
to-
always is.
No, sorry. I have multiple supports.
Okay, so 3 people
Like-
who were your biggest support. Your publisher,
No.
your husband.
No, it was Tariq Ansari of Midday.
All right, we have a name, ladies and
who
gentlemen.
published it.
Right.
Okay. And then Of course, my husband at that time was
Brilliant.
telling me, go work on it, get out of my hair.
Right.
Okay, so he was a big support in that one.
Right.
And my son.
Okay, so we have three names.
Yeah.
Excellent. Mrs. Rana?
I'll say wholeheartedly my husband.
Excellent.
He's been my biggest support, I think, not only throughout life, but for this
I've
endeavor.
seen that, yeah.
He's encouraged me. He's been my guinea pig. He's, he said in his welcome speech, the
I have seen
first
that,
book,
yes.
that he put on 10 kilos thanks to my book. But he's my biggest support. Thank you.
Anayata?
Again, I can't say one person. So the whole family, because everyone's contributed.
Okay, so family has been the biggest
Yeah, I
support.
mean, my
There's the
husband-
answer.
For sure, family.
100%.
Sonal said the
They
same thing.
actually-
Husband and mom, because my mom's recipes are in this.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. But Sonal, same thing. Family is the biggest support.
For sure, family, because, I'm messing up their kitchen.
Right.
I am using up all their ingredients.
Right.
And I am,
Force-feeding them.
Force feeding them all the
Right.
experiments in the kitchen. So I'd say family for everything.
Okay. My next question is, what was your biggest fear when your cookbook was complete? Your biggest fear. Now let's start in the reverse order. Sonal, what was your biggest fear?
Yeah, I was feeling so fortunate so far because I was getting to think about all my answers. So thank you for this, Googly. I don't think I had any fear when it came
Lovely.
to my book. None.
Love the confidence. Anayata?
I think I was just not sure how people would, take to Parsi food because it's so niche, it's such a small
It's
community.
niche,
So I wasn't
yes.
sure that how would the book do.
Would a book with a face like this do? Yeah?
Mrs. Rana?
My fear was it was launched just post-COVID. So I was scared that the whole world was going through this terrible pandemic and didn't know how to react,
Right.
would react to it. Thank you.
And Mrs. Rashmi Uday Singh.
I have to tell you that I always do things which make me happy. So when I did the book, I did it for myself.
You
I
follow
couldn't-
your passion.
I couldn't be bothered if somebody reads it, doesn't read it.
I'll say three cheers to that because we are exactly like that.
Yeah.
I recall the days when we started the South Asian Association for Gastronomy. We had journalists who thought they will work with us together, and then they walked out because they realized that they will not be able to make money. And we supported this cause for 5 straight years, putting in our blood, sweat, and tears, and of course, money. So, yes, I think I totally get that.
Can I add one thing now that they've finished? I've had my time to think. I think my biggest fear while writing any cookbook is leaving a typo in the book.
Ah, okay.
I'm sure that is with all you ladies that there is one typo somewhere that has been missed.
But listen, are we done with that time limit?
We are now going to throw the floor open for
Okay.
questions.
1 minute, 1 minute. Before we throw the floor open for questions, I want to ask you a question.
Alrighty.
Okay.
I'm on the dock.
Yeah, well, you walked into that one.
I walked into that.
You walked into
Thank
that
you.
one.
Bring it
so,
on.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, now that you set this magnificent, with all, with all the pavilions and everything, how do you feel? What is your fear and what are you planning to do next year?
My biggest fear, so the backstory very quickly, is that Food for Thought Fest in Delhi over the last 7 years has been in a non-vegetarian avatar. We started another whole section called the Tipple Fest. So obviously it had alcohol, it had non-vegetarian food. So the biggest challenge and fear when the government said that you need to make it a pure vegetarian event was that how do we get traction? How do we make it count? And then when we came up with the concepts of these 3 experiential pavilions, the fear was how will that be received and will we be able to execute it in the way that we have presented it? And how do I feel? I feel hugely blessed. It's a very gratifying moment because this is exactly how we had envisioned it. People over here know how much hard it has been to put it together, but God is very kind. What are we doing next? Let me also mention over here that Food for Thought Fest is not being about fun and games and getting people together. We've had a vision right from day one where we said that we want to bring this entire South Asian region together and we want to talk about issues that affect all of us. This is a citizens forum where we want to create such beautiful relations amongst the countries that are represented here year after year, that we can talk about topics such as food security, which affect all of us as a region. And we want to be recognized for our efforts by the press and the government, where this becomes a quasi non-governmental think tank, where we are recognized for what we have done in bringing the region together with the best brains from this entire region, be it Afghanistan, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, where we then discuss these issues. So the next level, now that we've already started working with the government, is to bring out those topics that we were not confident, we didn't want to look pretentious in our previous years, because we needed the government support, which we've now got. So the next thing is going to be talking about issues which affect all of us as a region, as countries, and as citizens.
A big hand to him for that, and more power to you. It's great to have somebody with so much of vision and wanting to do all that you are already accomplishing and going to accomplish. So congratulations on that. Anybody wants to ask any questions, please
So
do
anybody
so.
who wants to ask the beautiful panel any questions, we'll take about 3 questions. Zubair, can we have a mic in the audience? We can take questions. Would anybody like to ask any questions?
The
Yes,
gentleman,
Suvir.
the good-looking gentleman with the platinum hair wants to ask questions.
Check.
He always wants to ask questions.
पिछले
And we love him
star
for
है, क्या
that.
करे बेचारा?
Our designated social media manager for the day.
Manager, no, president.
So, Anahita, Parsi cooking. Is it really the cooking of Persia? Is it Indian food with another name?
Lovely.
Okay. So Parsi food is not, I can't, point a finger and be like, it's a cuisine from this state or this town or this city. When someone asks me what is it, it's actually a mix of 5 different cuisines. It's got Persian, it's got influences. So, Persian influence, it's got stuff from Gujarat where we are, of course, because that's where we landed. Lot of strong influences from Gujarati food. The Khattu Mittu, which, comes from there. Maharashtrian food, Goan cuisine, and of course closely worked with the Britishers. So we have a lot of British influence like the Laganu custards and the caramel custards and the baking. So for me, it's not one cuisine, and it's definitely not Indian cooking with a different name. It's got a lot of Indian flavor, but it's a good mix of Persia and India.
Brilliantly answered.
Rashmi, I'd like to ask you, I didn't know you've written 40 books. Tell us a little bit about some of the special books you've written.
Anshu. Okay, so quickly, the thing is, my passion, I'm actually related to Christopher Columbus. I like to explore, right? Like yesterday, I spent the whole day in Matonga, going from Ramashray to Ramanayako DP, etc. So I love to explore. And that's how I wrote my first book, which is basically an exploration of the city I love, like I did Paris, the world's first vegetarian guide to Paris, because it is all about exploration. So a lot of my books are like that. I've written a vegetarian guide to Paris, of course, and I've written a vegetarian cookbook, which is called Around the World in 80 Plates, in memory of Vardhaman Jain, my 17-year-old friend, or the Times of India heir. And it had recipes from 80 great chefs around the world. It was pure vegetarian. It won 4 international awards. And so on and so forth. I wrote all kinds of things. Then I wrote the Penguin Cookbook, the Penguin Celebrity Cookbook, which were recipes from people who are known for everything except cooking. So Anjali Ila Menon, blah, blah, people like that. And then I did a chicken cookbook, which everywhere, whatever books I write, I like to give credit to where I get my sources. It's very important to me. And the very last book which I've done is got nothing to do with food. It's written for HarperCollins. It's a hardcover book. It's a biography of Dr. Soonawala, Rusi Soonawala, who delivered Parsi, who has delivered 3 generations of the Ambani, 3 generations of the Kapoors. He's 91 or 92, touch wood, and he's rocking. Inspirational biography. And it took me 5 years to write it. And the one I'm working on and completed 75% research is The Ultimate Global Vegetarian, which is about vegetarian being gourmet, not just some grey sludge. And I've got recipes and restaurants from where you least expect, from Japan, China, Warsaw, Berlin. So that book is like in the back burner right
progress.
now.
Right, brilliant, thank you. Asma, we have to, my three rapid fire questions to you. Your
Come here.
biggest support, your biggest support, your biggest challenge, and your biggest fear.
Okay, so my biggest support is a friend. She grew up in Chinatown in New York, Vincy Wong, and she told me that, you know, she believed that I could do anything I want to do.
I want to applaud this. I think I want to applaud this. How many of us give credit to our friends? I want to applaud this.
So the next book is about the book. I didn't have a problem. They came to me to write the book. The day we were doing the last shoot is the day I told the entire team that Netflix had asked me to be on Chef's Table. The budget for the book was small, so there were not photographies in all the things. So they blew a huge amount of money on the cover. Because usually, you know, if you're a high-profile chef, you would have a picture for every recipe. But I had got a small amount of advance, and it was going to be a good book. They'd put a lot of money into it, but not the kind of money which they realized suddenly, oh my God, this is going to be a big cookbook. So the cover looks very, very flashy. So that was a real challenge to make it look a bit kind of posh. Suddenly, overnight, they realized this is going to be a huge seller. It's not just a small niche cookbook we're doing of someone who does home cooking. And the biggest fear I had was that people would look at this book and not recognize any of the recipes. There was no butter chicken, there was no kali dal, there was no tandoori chicken. And they would go through the index and say, what is this food? But I thought, no, I'm going to do the chicken chop, and I'm going to do the chorchori, and I'm going to be unafraid. And that at a time when I was nobody. I had no restaurant, I had nothing. But I realized that I have to look at this book and think this is my book and feel proud.
The
So,
belief
yeah.
and the passion in what you wanted to do. Salute you
you.
for that.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we had
Big
the
hand.
pleasure of launching Asma's cookbook called Ammu, a dedication to her mother, in the previous edition of Food for Thought Fest. We've had a long association. 2015, Asma, I remember we spoke, she was in London at that time, and she said that, listen, I want to come and be a part of your festival. I said, I can't afford your air ticket, but I can surely give you a hotel room. She said, you don't worry about that. You just give me my hotel room and I'll manage to come on my own. And then we had our association in 2015, and my God, what a journey, Asma. We are just so proud and blessed to have you. And
Big
on
hand
that
for
note,
her. Big hand for Asma.
a loud round of applause for our beautiful panel. Ladies and gentlemen, with this we come to an end to this session, which I personally would like for it to go on and on. But thank you very
Thank you
much,
very much.
Rashmi.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you for
Thank
taking
you.
over the women.
Thank you.